Have you ever stopped to think how quickly a dazzling royal romance can collapse into scandal? Hold on to your seat, because a single declaration has cracked the Sussex narrative wide open, and almost no one anticipated the storm it would unleash. A woman, previously unknown to the public and identifying herself only as DL, has emerged with a claim so incendiary it eclipses every controversy the couple has ever faced. She isn't describing herself as a mere donor or a peripheral figure tucked behind the scenes. According to DL, she carried both of Meghan and Harry's children, Archie and Lilibet, as their secret surrogate. And she says she possesses the proof to back it up. At first, people dismissed it outright. Another rumor, another internet sideshow. But then DL revealed herself, composed and unwavering, as though she'd spent years preparing for this very moment. She looked into the cameras and calmly declared, "I was assured privacy and fair compensation. In the end, I was simply erased." From there, the revelations came in a torrent. DL laid out what she says are official documents, hospital files precisely dated to each child's birth, records of hefty payments, and non-disclosure agreements signed before anyone even knew Meghan was expecting. If any of this stands up to scrutiny, it's no mere family secret. It's a deception with consequences that could reach the core of Britain's constitutional order. Yet it wasn't just DL's measured tone that set this controversy ablaze. It was her vivid descriptions, months spent secluded, constantly moved between undisclosed residences, cut off from loved ones, all under watchful supervision. Meghan's representatives, she said, orchestrated every facet, from prenatal checkups to counseling sessions. It was an arrangement sealed tight until the seams began to split. As her story spread, old suspicions rekindled like dry tinder to a flame. Remember the videos of Meghan's baby bump, the ones critics call bizarre? Clips where her stomach appeared to fold strangely or change shape overnight. Once dismissed as cheap gossip or the tricks of a camera lens, DL's allegations cast those scenes in a disturbing new light. Millions revisited the footage, scrutinizing every frame with fresh suspicion. Was it all a charade? And those weren't the only anomalies. Recall Archie's 2019 birth. No reporter stationed outside the hospital, no proud parents posing for photographers on the hospital steps. Just Harry, smiling tensely beside a horse stable, vaguely announcing the birth with no hospital named. Back then, many thought it was simply their way of protecting their privacy. Today, it all feels almost too convenient. Things grew more perplexing 11 days after Archie arrived. Meghan's legal name vanished from the birth certificate, replaced by the title, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. Officials labeled it a harmless paperwork tweak, and Meghan later insisted it was done without her blessing. But some legal scholars now suspect it was a deliberate maneuver because listing Meghan as the biological mother could have risked committing fraud if DL's claims are genuine. Through all this, the Sussexes themselves remained unseen. No press appearance, no emphatic denial, not even a brief statement condemning DL's story as fabrication. Only their legal representatives sprang into action, quietly warning publications against offering DL a platform. Yet when a woman volunteers for a DNA test and your only response is legal intimidation, it doesn't exactly inspire faith. The palace, predictably, kept a measured silence. Official spokespeople repeated the line that Harry and Meghan are private citizens, no longer senior royals. But behind closed doors, palace insiders are reportedly studying precedents, consulting historians, and debating how the monarchy would respond if DL produces irrefutable proof. Because if this account holds up, it raises a fundamental question. Are Archie and Lilibet legitimately in the line of succession? Royal traditions have always demanded transparency around births to uphold the integrity of the throne. If the children were born to a concealed surrogate, the entire institution faces a legal and moral quandary without modern precedent. One constitutional expert even remarked, this would be a historic first. If it's real, it strikes at the heart of legitimacy and the monarchy's credibility. In other words, this is no mere gossip column distraction. While all of this unfolded, reports trickled out about Harry's fragile state. Friends describe him as agitated, prone to outbursts, and haunted by paranoia over who might have betrayed their confidence. One former aide bluntly observed, he's unraveling. He thought he could manage this narrative, and now he can't. Another insider whispered that even Harry has started to question whether Meghan's advisors ever told him the full story. As for Meghan, she disappeared completely. No media appearances, no podcast updates, no curated social posts, nothing. For someone who has always excelled at steering the narrative, her total withdrawal was deafening. And within the walls of their Montecito estate, the mood reportedly turned combative. Those close to the couple paint a grim picture. Meghan enraged that Harry failed to stamp out the rumors in their infancy. Harry feeling trapped and let down. Staff quietly dismissed. Partnerships suspended. And brands once eager to collaborate now drifting away. But perhaps the most unsettling element in all this is DL herself. She isn't hiding. She isn't shaken. She says she welcomes any lawsuit. She's prepared to testify publicly and undergo DNA analysis by independent experts. That degree of certainty has everyone wondering, what does she have that makes her so fearless? Public confidence in the Sussexes has plunged. Polling shows their popularity sinking to unprecedented lows. Even prominent figures who championed their cause have gone silent. Podcasts that once celebrated Meghan's story have purged old episodes, and influencers are scrubbing their timelines to distance themselves. For the monarchy, the stakes couldn't be higher. If even a fragment of DL's allegations proves authentic, the palace could face decisions so consequential they'd redefine the modern royal era. Some sources claim Archie and Lilibet's titles are already under quiet review. Others say a formal investigation into their place in the succession line is inevitable. To many observers, the couple's refusal to speak out seems less like composure and more like quiet panic. For years, Meghan has never hesitated to confront any coverage she deemed inaccurate. She's filed lawsuits, granted interviews, issued statements. But now, only silence. And that vacuum is swiftly filling with doubt, with disbelief, with a creeping conviction that the polished story the Sussexes sold to the world may be crumbling. Even their most loyal admirers are asking, if there's nothing to hide, why not come forward and prove it? Meanwhile, DL has issued her ultimatum. Admit the truth, or I will reveal it all. She claims to possess a final piece of evidence, a decisive document she calls her last card. No one knows precisely what it is, but sources say it could be the proof that ends the debate once and for all. And so, we watch the unraveling of a royal fairy tale, once touted as modern and sincere, now threatened by the very secrets it was built to conceal. The real question isn't whether the truth will emerge, it's when, and how deep the damage will run when it does. Because history has shown, time and again, that the truth never stays buried forever. And when it surfaces, it has the power to shake even the most enduring institutions to their foundations. The carefully constructed illusion is splintering. The countdown has begun, and the eyes of the world are locked on what comes next. Yet beneath all the public spectacle lies an even more poignant consequence, the impact on Archie and Lilibet themselves. Imagine being a child and discovering that millions of strangers argued over whether you were truly born to your mother. That shadow of uncertainty could haunt them long after this crisis ends. Some insiders say that possibility alone is what torments Harry most. Those familiar with Meghan's mindset describe her as feeling more cornered than ever before. She's endured fierce criticism over the years, from racially charged headlines to relentless online abuse, but this is different. This isn't about wardrobe choices or feuds. This is about whether the core of her family's story was ever real. And even her staunchest defenders are struggling to justify her silence. All the while, Buckingham Palace is quietly preparing contingency plans. Advisors are combing old records, studying precedent, and weighing legal options should DL produce irrefutable evidence. For an institution defined by centuries of unbroken tradition, the thought of rewriting succession laws is almost inconceivable. Among the British public, opinions are splintering. Some still see a witch hunt, a cruel attempt to destroy a woman who never truly belonged in the royal fold. Others believe that when you occupy such a privileged perch and build an empire on transparency, you have a duty to be honest. And right now, the silence feels like disdain. In the darkest corners of speculation, people are wondering just how far the Sussexes may have gone to control the narrative. Did they coerce staff into secrecy? Did they tamper with official records? Or is this all an elaborate scheme to discredit them forever? The lack of clarity is fertile ground for every theory imaginable. And perhaps the most astonishing aspect is how swiftly DL has upended everything. For years, Meghan and Harry seemed untouchable, sheltered by friendly media and a legion of supporters. Now, even their closest allies are waiting to see whether they'll finally confront the allegations or keep hiding behind lawyers. It's an extraordinary irony. They left royal life to tell their truth, to share their story on their own terms. But now, faced with the most serious allegations of all, their silence is writing a story they can't control. And in the end, that's the version that may endure. As the days drag on without a rebuttal, the court of public opinion is only growing harsher. Commentators who once praised Meghan's resilience are openly speculating whether this silence is strategic or simply desperation. Even seasoned royal watchers, no strangers to palace intrigue, admit they have never seen a scandal with stakes this high or evidence this detailed. Each new day without a direct answer only feeds the suspicion that something monumental is being concealed. Across social media, accounts that once defended every Sussex decision have shifted tone, now demanding transparency. Posts once overflowing with hashtags of support are turning skeptical, replaced by pointed questions and demands for accountability. For a couple who carefully cultivated their online image as the fresh face of royalty, this erosion of goodwill could prove irreversible. Behind palace gates, some insiders reportedly fear that even if DL's claims are disproven, the damage to public trust has already been done. The very idea that the lineage of two royal children could be clouded by uncertainty has ignited debates among constitutional scholars, who warn that the monarchy's credibility relies as much on perception as it does on tradition. Once doubt takes root, it can be almost impossible to remove. Adding to the confusion, there are whispers that at least one former staff member is considering coming forward to corroborate portions of DL's story. While nothing has been confirmed, the mere possibility has sent Harry's legal advisors scrambling to prepare contingency plans. The prospect of another insider stepping into the spotlight is enough to keep the entire palace on edge. Meanwhile, the wider royal family has been conspicuously silent. No statements of support, no public gestures to reassure the public. Some observers interpret this as a deliberate strategy, a way to distance the crown from any fallout. Others say it reflects something more personal, a quiet dismay that the Sussex's choices have now placed the institution itself in jeopardy. Even outside the United Kingdom, the scandal has rippled through international media, with headlines in Europe and America dissecting every twist. From breakfast shows to late-night satire, the story is everywhere, fueling a narrative that the House of Windsor is more fragile and more human than it wants the world to believe. This relentless global scrutiny ensures the Sussexes won't be able to wait it out behind closed doors forever. And so the world watches, captivated by a drama that has become something larger than any single family dispute. It's a reckoning about truth and accountability, about whether centuries of royal tradition can survive the modern era's demand for proof. And until the Sussexes find the courage or the necessity to break their silence, speculation will keep filling the void, threatening to rewrite their legacy one rumor at a time.